While Boston is still obviously the team to beat in the NBA because they are the reigning champions, are they scaring anybody? Are they intimidating anybody this year? Because you can't tell me last year they were not the most intimidating team in the league, because they were. And they proved them right by winning the championship. Now this year, you've had a couple of teams, the Chicago Bulls, the Atlanta Hawks, the Orlando Magic, the 76ers, maybe show to the rest of the league that Boston isn't so scary after all. We're going to break down whether or not Boston still has a little bit of intimidation left heading into the playoffs this season, and really just kind of showing the rest of the league in the regular season that we're still not a team that you want to mess with and you want to face every single night. So before I jump into that, show some love. If you want the Boston Celtics to win Banner 19, go on ahead and like this video for me. I still have a lot of faith that Boston can be the first back-to-back champion since 2017. I know you guys feel the exact same way, so if you haven't already, go on ahead, like this video for me. When you look at Boston, where they ranked in the NBA statistics, it's not that daunting to some teams. Not the way that it used to be. Through the first 30 games of this season, right now they're not the best shooting team, which is ironic because I do think we have the best offense in the NBA. We also have a head coach that has completely crafted an offense called Missoula ball around finding the most efficient shot. Well, you're 20th in field goal percentage through the first 30 games. You're 16th in three-point percentage, but yet you're taking over 45, 50 three-pointers a night. But you're still not making majority top 15 in the NBA. You're 7th in rebounds. You're 18th in assists. And when you're going up against another team's offense, they may not be that scared of you because you're 26th in steals so far this year. So statistically, they're not the scariest when it comes to traditional statistics. But where were they last year when they were the scariest team in the NBA? You can't tell me any different that they weren't. We were dominating the Eastern Conference by 15-plus games. And we still weren't the best of the best, but we were in a lot better position in majority of these categories. Field goal percentage, we're 20th right now. We were 11th this time last year with 48%. We're 16th right now. We were 11th in three-point percentage. We were 2nd in rebounding, 19th in assists with 25.6, and we were 25th in steals. We still aren't the best team at stealing, but that's okay. The whole point is, we've definitely dropped off in some categories, but it's kind of glass half full, glass half empty. Either the Celtics have dropped off in these categories or the league is catching up. There were a lot of trades that were made last year. Maybe they found a way to stop the Boston Celtics from being as dominant as they were last year, which would make a lot of sense. We have the exact same team from last year, which is a blessing, but it can also be a curse because now we know that teams had to adjust to the exact same roster that we had last year. It's going to catch on. They're going to figure it out. They're all professionals. And then, come to mention, there have been teams that we wouldn't have dared losing to last year, like the Orlando Magic, like the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls got better. They got Lonzo Ball back. They made some trades. They did get better. But keep in mind, the Celtics have already lost their 8th game. We didn't lose our 8th game until middle of January last year. So we've already lost more games at this point than we did last year. So we're not as dominant or the teams aren't as good. You can look at several different things, but there is one thing that seems to be pretty universal, and that seems that Boston, it looks complacent. They look completely fine with what happened last year. They got a ring. They felt good about being the best team, even though they were the most disrespected champions in the NBA history, in my opinion. And then they come in here and they act like they have a chip on their shoulder. And they did pop off very early in the season. But now in December, I know they've been dealing with some injuries, but they don't look like they had that fire underneath them. They don't look like they're trying to catch the number one team in the Eastern Conference. They look like they are the number one team in the Eastern Conference, which just isn't true. So we're going to break down a little bit more here on, do the Boston Celtics still have any intimidation left under their belt? Before I do that, I do want to tell you guys about our sponsor here, which of course is PrizePicks, the number one daily fantasy sports app in America. I play PrizePicks every single game day, whether it's basketball, football, hockey, baseball, or even Call of Duty. I don't play, but I know some people that do, and they've really enjoyed Prize Picks playing Call of Duty. So if you guys want to go on ahead and get started, join now this holiday season because you can win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. And look, we know around the holidays, we know that work gets a little bit hectic, even though it's supposed to be relaxing. I promise Prize Picks is the easiest part of my day. Why? Because all you do is pick more or less on a player's projected stats. That's it. Minimum 2 players, maximum 6 players, and you guys can test out how well you know ball. Not to mention it is offered in over 30 different states, including Cali, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. And it's the best place to get real money sports action, and you can join over 10 million active users right now to test out your skills. So if you guys want to go on ahead and get started, just download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code CLNS. It'll give you guys $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code CLNS. It'll give you guys $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Is Boston worried about Cleveland? I feel like it's a fair question because the way that they're playing and the way that they're losing isn't showing me that they're concerned about being number 2. They're actually losing as if they have 12 games in between first and second place, and they're on top the way they were last year. In fact, Cleveland only has 4 losses. Boston Celtics, at the time of making this video, they have 8. And the Knicks are 2 games behind them with 10, and the Knicks have a little bit of heat going on right now. So when you start to realize that Boston's not even in first place, and they're definitely not dominating the traditional box score of the league, you start to wonder, oh crap, we're really not playing up to standard right now. And I know that we've had some injuries, but guess what? So has everybody else. Injuries are a part of the game. I think it's motivation. And here's what Jaylen Brown had to say. We just come out too casual. I think we were walking to our spots. This is when he was talking about the Philadelphia 76ers loss. Nobody was sprinting down the floor, just kind of hanging around, just trying to veer back to get the ball instead of just pushing it down the court and just being aggressive. We just couldn't pull it together for full 48 minutes. And I'm not really sure why. It just felt kind of weird. As a group, we've got to be better. No, Jaylen Brown. Number one, you need to figure out why. You need to figure out why you're not playing hard and why your team is unmotivated when you should be the most motivated team in the NBA right now. There are 2 things that need to change from my perspective to get Boston out of this slump, if you want to call it. Because the way that they're coming out, they're looking like, man, it's just the regular season. We're not really worried about anything until the playoffs come. This matters. This matters to get you to the playoffs. Start playing now how you want to play in the playoffs. I feel like that's just common sense for a professional athlete right now. Here are 2 things that I think need to happen to help the Boston Celtics find some momentum and hopefully get them back into the swing of things. Number 1, I think that they've slacked on defense. I think that you're allowing bench players like Caleb Martin and Cole Anthony and Horton Tucker, of all people, to pop off against you. That's disrespectful. It's disrespectful that you're letting bench players. You're doing a pretty good job against the stars, even though they're putting up good numbers. You know how to handle the stars. You don't know how to handle the bench players right now because you're not putting as much effort into the bench players as you were. In 2023, you had the 3rd best defensive net rating over 30 games. Now, you have the 8th best, but the number is better. That means teams' offenses are getting better. That means you have to adjust. That means you have to switch and guard the Horton Tuckers, the Cole Anthonys, the guys coming off the bench that are there to prove something. They want to prove that not only they should be a starter on their own team, but they can handle their own against the team that has the biggest target in between their 2 eyes, which is the Boston Celtics. You're lacking on defense. You're not playing as hard. When you are playing hard, it is against the Cleveland Cavaliers. It is against a team that you're showing me you know they're better than you. Statistically, and in the standings, they're better than you. So the defense needs to get a little bit tighter. And then when you look at the other one, it's got to be the 3-point attempts. It is a lot. It is a lot. I know, and I know a lot of people have been in here saying, I don't watch the NBA anymore because all it is, they chuck up threes. This is the league now. This is the league. And as long as Joe Mazzulla is the head coach, they're going to take a lot of threes. So that's not going anywhere. And I'm not necessarily mad at it. But you are taking You're averaging 7 more three-point attempts than you were last year in 30 games. You were first in the league in three-point attempts, and you're first in the league this year, chucking up 50 threes a game. But you're not making nearly as much. And that's where it starts to kind of concern me, because then you've got people out there questioning how many threes you're taking. Now they're questioning the theory of Missoula ball, which essentially helped you win a championship last year. And then you've got people like Peyton Pritchard out here saying that you're right, nobody should be taking as many threes as we are because we're the best at it. And in his own words, I feel like some teams should maybe not take as many threes, but those teams should not be us. We're the best at doing it. Why would we change? And I do hear you, Peyton Pritchard, from a standpoint, but you also have the 16th best three-point percentage in the NBA. So teams may not be better at taking the amount of threes that you do, but there are 15 teams ahead of you that are averaging more threes made a ball game than you guys are right now. So that's a little bit tedious to start to try and dissect when it comes to those numbers and breaking those things down. But ultimately, I do know that there's not a lot to panic about just yet, just because I know that this is Celtics ball. This is Missoula ball. The Celtics will always take an ample amount of threes. That is who they're going to be moving forward as Joe Mazzulla as their head coach, and I don't see Missoula going anywhere anytime soon. This is their ball game. But if you're going to rely on the three and take 50-plus threes, when you're down by 7, 9, 12, 3, I would rather you continue to be efficient at scoring on the other two levels of the driving. The Jaylen Brown has done a really good job of adjusting his shot when he isn't making it from downtown to drive and make a layup, to drive, draw a foul, and go to the free throw line. The only thing I'm concerned about is they're so focused on taking as many threes, hoping they'll fall, as they're not taking efficient shots, which should be Missoula ball, taking the most efficient shot during that play. So I do have one more question here for you guys, and then I'll give my final thoughts here on today's show. But before I do hop into that, here is my question for you. And I already asked you that one. Let me change. Sorry, I'm self-producing. Nobody yell at me. Do you love Boston's three-point game? If you do, go on ahead and comment down below and like this video for me. That'll let me know that, hey, look, Peyton Pritchard's right. Not every team should take as many threes as we do, but not every team is as good as making threes as we are. Overall, my final response to are people scared of the Boston Celtics anymore is probably not. People traded. There are other players on different teams. Boston's the only team that kept 13 out of 15 players on their roster. So teams, defenses, and offenses are going to figure out, just like how the Grizzlies did, they're going to figure out how to beat Boston. They've had over 100 games now figuring out how to take down the NBA champs. That is one of the risks Brad Stevens took by bringing back all the same players. But I will mention this. The whole video, I just mentioned that Boston seems to be playing very casual. Boston seems to be very inconsistent. There are certain things that Boston can fix in a snap that would take a team an entire season to fix. While teams may not be scared right now of Boston, they should be. Because Boston can flip the switch at any moment and become that scary, intimidating, dominant team that can win back-to-back championships in the flip of a switch. Right now, Boston seems to be playing at about 75%, and that should terrify NBA teams who are going 110% to try to beat them. That's all I'll say. But in the end, if you guys want more intakes, if you guys want more inputs here on Boston Celtics Today, go on ahead and do one thing for me, and that is subscribe.